Hey everyone, welcome to Prime Answers. I am using a little bit of a different camera today. The camera I snapped something off in it earlier. Don't worry, my camera's fine. I'm just dissecting it right now. So, we're just going to get into Prime Answers here. The only questions we have today are from YouTube. We didn't get any submitted on Discord. Might have been my fault, but sorry patrons, you can submit next week. Let's just get right into it. Mitchell Clybourne has a bunch of questions here, like a whole bunch of them. But let's just go with his first question. He says, what do you think of the future of Xbox now that Microsoft is an exclusive third-party developer for such joking? Obviously, that's not the case, but it is nice. I think the future of Xbox is actually pretty bright because they're doing hardware. They plan to be the most powerful, like, traditional box system in your home for the next generation. Obviously, they don't know what Sony's doing, but they are planning to maintain the Xbox One X style of most powerful, one. And I think that's going to be huge for them. I think it's also going to be huge for them to also get that streaming service off the ground. I think the future of Xbox is a lot brighter than people think. I think what I'm more curious about is what PlayStation's going to do here moving forward. They are the market leader, but what are their plans for the future? Because they've talked at length before about how they don't think home consoles are going to be around much longer. So I know they're doing PlayStation 5, but you have to figure they have to have some plans for something, streaming service or something. I don't know what those plans are. But we'll probably find out about them as the year unfolds. Maybe by the time we get to the PlayStation Experience. There is that PlayStation Direct coming up. I don't think we're going to hear much about anything but games in that. But yeah, I think the future is bright for Microsoft and Xbox. Mitchell Clybourne's next question says, what do you think Nintendo will do in the future, next generation? I think they're just going to do more of the same. I think there will be a next generation Nintendo Switch. I don't know when it's going to come out. Could be 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I have no idea. But I think they're going to stick with it because they do feel that there is a benefit to being able to play something locally, play it with a physical media, and be able to not rely on an internet connection. I think obviously they enjoy games that have internet connections, Smash Bros. And ARMS and, Splatoon and all that stuff. I think they love those games, but that's not the only thing they make. They still make high-quality single-player experiences, like with Mario Odyssey. Now, I know you can do a little co-op in that, but it's primarily a single-player game. And Breath of the Wild. I think they see the massive sales success of some of these single-player games in addition to the multiplayer, and Nintendo's going to keep going down that route. So I think you're going to continue to see them make hardware for at least another generation or two. I don't see them leaving hardware for a long time. Now, will they ever get in bed with a streaming service? I have no idea. I think they will allow things like Google Stadia and xCloud to be on this Switch or a future Switch, but I don't know that they're going to get heavily involved in that space. But we'll see. I mean, we're talking, a decade or two down the road when I think Nintendo might start to consider not making hardware. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And the Switch is selling so well, I don't think they're even thinking about it in this moment. Next up, Mitchell Clybourne says, have you played Tetris 99? What are your thoughts? Yes, I have played Tetris 99. A Battle Royale Tetris game sounds absolutely dumb to me, but then you play it, and it's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. I don't finish. I think my highest finish was top 26, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's way more addicting than I ever thought it would be. Does that make the $20 price of the Nintendo Switch Online service worth it? I don't know, but it's nice, and if we get more experiences like that, it really starts to justify that $20 price tag. Mitchell Clybourne then says, are you excited for Funbox 2? For those who don't know, Mitchell Clybourne sent me what he calls Funbox 1, which had a whole bunch of stuff in it. The Nintendo Prime sword is actually upstairs. He got a customized wooden sword with Nintendo Prime on it, and some other things that I need to get back in that collection so they start appearing in some videos. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked. So I can't wait to see what else you have to send. Mitchell Clybourne then says, what is your favorite third-party company? Mine is Konami. Love Castlevania, Contra, Metal Gear, etc. Oh, how the times have changed. I have a lot of debates over my favorite third-party. It's probably still Ubisoft, but like EA has some stuff like Dragon Age coming out. Obviously, they have the Maddens of the world. 2K has my NBA game. They also have, obviously Rockstar and all that under their wing. And then you have to consider other like Japanese third-party companies. Like Square Enix makes a lot of games I really, really like. So does Capcom, kind of ironically, since some people like to call them Crapcom. They have a lot of really nice IPs under their belt. You can't forget about Sega. They have that Total War series I absolutely adore. I don't know that I have a specific third-party company that I really like more than most, but if I had to pick one, it's probably Ubisoft, just because I really enjoy a lot of the games they put out. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of a toss-up, and you could really just pick anyone out of the hat and be pretty happy for me, because I'm not as harsh on companies as maybe some other people are. I am harsh on individual games and individual practices, like loot boxes, but I'm not exactly harsh on the overall company when they still produce games I actually enjoy. And then Mitchell Clyburn, the last thing he says is, how's your diet going? So you probably notice this can off to the side here. This is one of those Game Fuel cans. This is actually left over from 2 days ago when I was doing a stream and I got 1 hour of sleep. So besides like an occasional Game Fuel, I think I've had one other Game Fuel in this entire diet. It's going well. I'm down. I have my first weigh-in on the 90-day diet on Monday. However, I did weigh myself today and I was down 8 pounds. So it's going well. The diet, I'm going to be full admit here. I haven't stuck in as strictly to the diet as I hoped I would. But what I have done is made adjustments. So I have this strict diet, and every now and then, if I'm out with the kids or something's happening and they have food, it's kind of hard for me to avoid eating it. So what I do is I get smaller portion sizes, and then I make sure to pay attention to how many calories were in that meal I ate. So then, like today, as an example, I had a little bit of Subway today. That's not part of my diet, but that Subway eats up about half my calories for the day. So what am I having the rest of the day? I'm going to have almond milk with some whey protein. So my next 2 meals, quote-unquote meals, are going to be that, and then I'll have some carrots or whatever for a snack. And when I found what happens is when I balance things out like that, is that my metabolism is still going. Now, I'm still doing the daily workouts, so that's helping with it as well. So, yeah, and obviously there's days that I do stick strictly to the diet. Like days I'm home all the time, I'm super, super strict about the diet. So today was kind of one of those days where I was letting out some stress, but tomorrow I'll be back to the normal diet. And and since I do the normal diet probably 5 of the 7 days, it's really not that big a deal. You're allowed to have a cheat day once per week, and it's really not a huge deal. I stick to the workouts, stick to the diet primarily, which I'm slowly getting used to eating a lot of healthier foods. I mean, heck, even when I had fast food today, it was Subway, which isn't the healthiest of fast foods, but it's not the worst either. So I think slowly getting better about eating healthier more often, and obviously the daily workouts are really helping a lot. So yeah, I mean, weight loss is going well. At this rate, I mean, I don't know if the 8 pounds per week thing is going to maintain, but at this rate, I mean, I could be under 200 here in a month or so, which is amazing to me because I haven't been under 200 in a long time. The fact that I stepped on the scale today and I saw myself in the 240s, like I haven't seen myself in the 240s in a year. And to see myself in the 230s eventually here, the 220s, the 210s, the progress has been awesome, and I'm going to keep to it. And obviously, if I get to a point where I'm plateauing a little bit, I'll just be even more stricter about the diet. But yeah, the big thing is, too, like cutting out soda. As I said, I had the Game Fuel, but I used to drink like a 12-pack a day. So soda consumption is extremely cut back. I don't think I even bought like a regular soda in forever, just the Game Fuel for when I didn't get a lot of sleep, because I just don't like coffee. I wish I liked coffee, because I would have had that instead, but it's okay. You just have to adjust your diet a little bit. Like if I have the soda or I have this, like this is like 90 calories in this. So then you adjust and you subtract some sugars and other things from other things you're going to eat later in the day. And it ends up working out just fine. Plus my diet has a lot of veggies, so I don't have a lot of sugar anyways. So there you go. The next question comes from Michael Dejoux. And he says, you said there at the end, so here goes. This is going to be a very strange one, folks. So strap in. Nate, is the world flat? I'm going to answer. Okay, so this person asked a whole bunch of individual questions, so I'm going to address them as we go. So it says, Nate, is the world flat? No, the world's not flat. And he says, is Hollywood full of satanic, transgendered pedophiles, as well as most politicians? The answer to that is absolutely not. Not that there aren't, pedophiles that exist. I mean, I'm a Roman Catholic, for crying out loud. So you would figure, I'm the furthest from satanic as you might want to, I guess, venture to guess. I have no idea. But even within the Catholic Church, there's been instances of pedophilia with priests and bishops that the church tried to cover up. So I don't know that it matters if you're in Hollywood or if you're a politician or if you're even a priest. Like, pedophiles exist everywhere. That sucks. I wish it didn't happen, but what are you going to do about it? Just call it out when you see it and punish the appropriate people and kind of, I guess, try to put measures in place to prevent it in the future. I don't think Hollywood's full of it. I don't think politicians are full of it. I don't think the church is full of it. I just think these people exist in general, no matter what profession you are. Now, that being said, are chemtrails poisoning us? No, they are not. You can do your own research on that. It sounds like you're asking a lot of conspiracy theorist questions. So you're trying to get me to slip up, maybe, or maybe this is stuff you fully believe in. But no, chemtrails are not poisoning us. You can literally do the scientific research into chemtrails if you want. For those who don't know, chemtrails are considered to be those white poofs of smoke left behind by airplanes and jets. And people assuming that they're all full of these chemicals, that they're raining down on the populace to mind control us. It's wacko conspiracy stuff, but you can like literally do the scientific research on it if you want and realize there's nothing harmful about those plumes. They're just normal. It's a normal reaction to how the engines burn the fuel. Anyways, let's see here. It says, does being a white Christian male make you racist? No. I don't think being white, being black, being Asian, being blue, being orange, or being a Christian has anything to do with racism. Obviously, there's a lot of people that do associate racism with certain religions. Christianity, as an example, is against like gay marriage. So because it's against gay marriage, it therefore, if you're a Christian, then you must hate, people who are gay, which is not true. And I actually am pro-gay marriage, despite the fact I'm a Christian. So there's a lot of things that get associated. Obviously, there unfortunately seems to be a lot of white supremacists and a lot of alt-right supporters that are heavily into Christianity, which helps give Christianity kind of a bad name. And so I understand why the associations occur, but I think it's a huge misnomer. In fact, the way that the Catholic Church teaches things, and I don't like talking about politics and religion, but you brought up the question. So the way the Catholic Church teaches things is it teaches acceptance. It teaches you not to care what color someone's skin is. Heck, not even to care what religion they necessarily are. So yeah, I think that's just a silly way to look at things. I do think there is a certain thing about being a white Christian male, which I don't know what Christianity has to do with it, but just being a white male, or because I'm a white male in the United States, I probably grew up a little more privileged than a lot of other people do. Now, that doesn't mean that all white males grow up privileged. There are plenty that grow up in problem houses, were born on the street, born into drugs. Like that happens to white people too. It's not just like white people. See, I even hate that term. See, that's how I know. Like I grew up in this little town in Wisconsin, so I know that I've grown up in this privileged life in comparison to a lot of people, and I recognize that, and it makes it hard to have conversations about racism with people who experience it all the time, because I don't experience it. I experience friends I have that go through it, but I don't personally experience it. So, no, I don't think I'm racist. I think it's just things you grow up in life, and you grow up in a certain way. Like, I didn't grow up around a lot of people that are colored. I've been around a lot of them now as an adult, but I didn't grow up around them. So it's easy for me to even refer to like white people and black people. I think we're all just people, but sometimes in my dialect will come up like, oh yeah, the white people or the black people or, the Asian people, when really we're all just people, and really being Asian, black, white just refers to our heritage. So I don't know. I don't think I'm racist, but a lot of people obviously just make an assumption that, if you're white, you're racist. I think everyone can be racist. I don't think it matters if you're white or not. But in fact, sometimes it feels like there's like that reverse racism, right? Like because I'm white and I'm speaking up on something racism, and people come back, oh, you're white, so blah, 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 blah. It's like, so because I'm white, what? Like, what does being white have to do with the conversation? But, whatever. This is why we don't talk about this stuff on the channel. I'm sure I'm going to get yelled at in the comments already. It says, are vaccines causing autism and used for population control? That is a big fat no. Recent study came out, 650,000 plus children studied over a course of many, many years. And it turns out that you're actually more likely to get autism if you aren't vaccinated than you are if you get vaccinated. The scientific evidence is out there for that. So it has nothing to do with population control. Vaccines actually increase the population. So that's a really stupid statement to talk about population control with vaccines. Vaccines make people live longer, not less. Like if they wanted to control the population and have more people die, they would just not vaccinate anyone. The reason the world has the most people in it that it's ever had right now today is because of vaccines. So that's completely false. And research shows that autism has nothing to do with vaccines and can happen without them. In fact, it happens more often without them. So what do you know? Are they poisoning our food with GMOs? GMOs obviously exist in some things, but no, you can do the research on that. Again, they're not poisoning us. They're just trying to make food fast enough, big enough, and enough of it to support the world. This is what happens when the world's overpopulated. Is our dollar going to collapse soon because of starvation and genocide? The value of the dollar has nothing to do with starvation and genocide, so that has literally no correlation, so no. Is the media owned by the synagogue of Satan? No, it is not. Does Satan rule the world and tries to mimic and mock God's creation by turning everything upside down? Nobody rules the world. People make their own individual choices in life, and those people are the ones that decide what their life's going to be like. For the most part. Obviously, some people don't have a choice, but you know what I mean. Are we being censored from spreading the truth? Absolutely not. You could talk about how YouTube and other places are censoring conspiracy theories and all this stuff, but they're still out there. There's other ways to find it that don't involve YouTube and social media. So no, I don't think it's really being censored from spreading the truth. I think it's censoring from spreading lies. A lot of the things you're bringing up right now are not true and have been scientifically and mathematically proven to not be true, but you still want to believe it anyways. I could tell you're one of those people that probably believe in this stuff. Is Jesus our Savior and our only way off this disgusting planet? For starters, I don't think the planet is disgusting. And is Jesus our Savior? I mean, if Jesus is real, if God is real, I don't think they take us off this planet. I think our choices and actions in life ultimately determine where we're going to go. And I don't think it's the only way off this life to go to heaven, because you could go to hell, could go to purgatory. We don't know if that stuff is on this planet. We don't know anything. So is he our only way off? No, because you could go the other direction and still maybe be off this planet. So I swear only Nintendo games and awesome channels like yours, as well as others, the Rotating Crew and Spawncast, are the only shining light in this very dark and bleak world we live in. I think that you yourself have a very dark and bleak look at the world. If you think only Nintendo and then like YouTube channels like me and Spawnwave provide light, granted, I'm happy that you enjoy my content and it lifts you up. I'm always happy when people talk about, how my content, lifts them up and helps them through the day and makes their day. That's wonderful stuff. But we're such a small mind. There's so much beauty in this world. There really is. If you focus on the negative, all you're going to see is the negative. If you focus on the positive, you're going to see a ton of positive. There is a lot of beautiful stuff in this world, a lot of amazing things happening, a lot of amazing people doing amazing things. There is so much light in this world. I think what happens is you get so focused in on, say, certain media, or you get so focused in on social media. Social media is genuinely not a good place to find all the positivity in the world, because there's the negativity on social media outweighs the positivity so much that you're just looking in the wrong places. There are so many great things going on in this world. Take a step outside and go for a walk through nature in the park, and you're going to see some absolutely amazing things from the plants and the animals and the insects and the flowing water in the rivers. Like, you're going to see so much amazing beauty in this world. You can do research online about these wonderful things that certain charities that aren't necessarily for-profit companies are doing out there. You could see some beauty in the world and just what some of we're doing for renewable resources and what we're doing to protect endangered animals. And I mean, yes, you can find negativity in all of this as well, but if that's all you focus on, that's all you're going to see. And so you're causing your own negative viewpoints because you're not looking at the other side of the coin. There's a lot of negativity, but there's a lot of positivity in this world too, man. And I highly suggest, even just based on all the stuff you just brought up, that you go out there and you look up all the beautiful things going on, because there is so much beauty in this world beyond Nintendo, a billion-dollar corporate greedy company that's all about making money, and then us, like as YouTubers, who we also make money. And you could argue we're greedy if you want. I don't think that we're like this super ultra multi-billion-dollar greedy company, but yeah, we do this for money, and we do it because we love it and we're passionate about it, but we also do it for money. Like, it pays our bills. So I think you got to go out in the world and find something that's more beautiful than a YouTuber talking about video games on the internet. Like, there's a hell of a lot more beautiful things out there than me. Maybe you think I'm a beautiful person, but you would have to know me on a personal level to come to that judgment. So, and he goes on to say, I hope your woke brother, I'm not your brother, but I understand that maybe you view that way because of religion. Go ahead and delete my comment. I'm not going to delete it. I won't be offended at all. I just wanted to make you go, I didn't go at all because I don't agree with any of your stances. I've got way more truth I could spit if you're ever wondering. You got a lot of conspiracy theories to spit. This is what happens when all you do is see the negativity in the world and you don't look at the other side. God bless you and what you do. I'll be here watching every video you post for us. I don't watch television or television anymore, and YouTube is my single source of entertainment, so keep up the great work. There's a lot of lies on YouTube, too. Like, don't kid yourself. There's a lot of lies on YouTube. All right, let's move on to the next comment. Why do you think Nintendo is struggling to make a good IP since Splatoon? I don't think they are struggling, but okay. ARMS had great gameplay, but far too little things to do. Okay, and too expensive price. Sushi Striker was pathetic garbage and was too overpriced. Did you play Sushi Striker? Anyways. Fitness Boxing was Nintendo's bad solution to a Punch-Out on the Switch. Fitness Boxing is not a Punch-Out solution, but okay. And the less I say about 1-2 Switch and Labo, the better. Okay. Do you think Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina will be good new IPs that become Nintendo staples like Splatoon? Or do you think they will turn out to be things Nintendo fans don't want to play again, like the new IPs that released in the Switch era? But the new IPs released in the Switch era are IPs that people are playing. You just don't enjoy them, John. Your personal enjoyment of those games does not represent the whole of the community. ARMS sold over 2 million units in a fighting, as like a soul fighting game. ARMS sold 2 million plus units in a genre where it's rare to sell 2 million units. ARMS was massively successful on a major scale in the fighting genre. So, you could feel that it had too little to do, but it's a fighting game. Do you know what the purpose of fighting games are? To fight. I know you can argue that, oh, well, compared to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, ARMS isn't like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's an arena-style, one-on-one style fighting game. Like, yeah, I know there's like 2-on-2s and stuff like that, but yeah, I think you expected way too much of ARMS. Like Mortal Kombat and Tekken, like, at very similar content levels to those games. I know the story mode and the single player stuff might not have been quite as extensive, but the core mechanics and everything, like, I completely disagree. I think ARMS was a brilliant new IP, and the sales proved it. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, heck, it's still selling a little bit. Sushi Striker, I really like Sushi Striker, so I couldn't disagree with you more. I think maybe they should have put it out as a mobile game. I think that would have done gangbusters for them as a mobile game. But even on Switch and 3DS, I think the only problem is that that there even is a price gap between Switch and 3DS. I don't think that price gap should exist. But besides that, it's great. The story in it's great. The cutscenes are great. I really enjoyed the gameplay way more than I thought I would. Again, though, I feel like that could have been like a Dragalia Lost style mobile game. But even then, like, I think it's fine. I just think they probably should have had the 3DS and the Switch prices be the same. So I can agree that maybe the Switch version was overpriced, but I don't think it was garbage. And that's obviously a new IP that I thought was okay. Fitness Boxing. Fitness Boxing has nothing to do with Punch-Out. Have you played Fitness Boxing? I'm sincerely asking, have you played Fitness Boxing? It is so far removed from Punch-Out, it's not even funny. Fitness Boxing is basically a Wii Fit. So you're comparing it to the wrong thing, and it's really good. Fitness Boxing is really, really good. It's the kind of workout game that I think people are going to be able to stick with longer and better than Wii Fit. Wii Fit kind of went all over the place and worked for some people, but there's a lot of people playing Fitness Boxing that really enjoy it in comparison to Wii Fit. So it also helps that you don't need some weird accessory to make it work either. So I honestly think that you are misjudging what Fitness Boxing is. It's got nothing to do with Punch-Out. Like, you clearly have not played Fitness Boxing if you think it has any relation to Punch-Out. You are confusing boxing and boxing when they're not. Like, one's like a video game, one is a workout. Like, it's just not the same thing. Anyways, the less you say about 1-2 Switch and Labo, the better. 1-2 Switch is good. 1-2 Switch is really good. The problem that 1-2 Switch has is it should have been a pack-in. 1-2 Switch was Nintendo Land. 1-2 Switch was Wii Sports. 1-2 Switch was proving method of all the different things Switch can do. It should have been a pack-in. But I think it's still really good. I don't think they should have been charging $60 or whatever it was at launch. But I think as a packing game, it would have been brilliant. Nintendo made that mistake. 1-2 Switch is good, but it should have been pack-in. It should have been proof of concept kind of good. It's really fun at parties, by the way. I don't know if you've ever used it in a party setting. Oh my gosh, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Nintendo Labo. I like Nintendo Labo. Millions of others apparently like it too. And Nintendo Labo VR looks brilliant. I think more and more you're just not the target audience for Nintendo Labo, right? Nintendo Labo is for families and parents who have kids. Like it's probably not for your demographic. So to talk about, the less you say about it, the better. I'm like, well, yeah, the less you say about it because the game wasn't made for you. And I think that's really what I'm seeing here is ARMS, wasn't made for you. Sushi Striker wasn't made for you. 1-2 Switch wasn't made for you. And Labo wasn't made for you. So to you view, well, since Splatoon, everything is struggling. When factually, all these games are selling millions of units. So they're not really struggling. You are struggling to enjoy them. That's kind of a different thing. Now, Astral Chain, I think, is something that might be more up your alley. I don't know. I mean, based on the games you're hating, I assume Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina would be something you enjoy. But again, those are new IPs that Nintendo controls. They're not being made by Nintendo Studios. ARMS was made by Nintendo Studio. Sushi Striker was made by Nintendo Studio. Fitness Boxing wasn't even made by Nintendo. But, I mean, 1-2 Switch was, obviously, so was Labo. So, like, you're talking about, partnerships they made with third-party companies. So, yeah, I think you're going to enjoy those games more because that's the kind of partnerships Nintendo makes to make games that Nintendo doesn't make. Let's see here. You think they'll become good? Well, I think they're good. Sure. I thought the games you already talked about were good. And even new IPs that become Nintendo staples like Splatoon. I think ARMS is going to be a Nintendo staple like Splatoon, for starters. There's going to be an ARMS 2. They basically already confirmed there's going to be an ARMS 2. So, like, that's going to be a staple like Splatoon. Astral Chain, Daemon X Machina, we'll have to wait and see. Games like that usually take a long time to develop. I don't think comparing it to Splatoon is a good idea. Splatoon is basically Smash Bros, right? So Splatoon is a once per generation kind of game. I think ARMS is going to be a once per generation kind of game. Splatoon, I think that Smash obviously is, Mario Kart, etc. So like, I do think that to be that once per generation kind of game, I don't know that Daemon X Machina has that kind of feel to it. I feel like that could have multiple games per generation. Astral Chain, we'll have to wait and see. By the time it comes out, it'll be the only one on Switch, I think. But I also think, Astral Chain is a Platinum Games IP. Platinum Games IPs tend not to sell very well, even though they're really good. So I think it's a little niche. Daemon X Machina is probably a little niche. I think they're going to be really good games, and we might get sequels to them. But I don't think they're going to be like Splatoon level sequel. Like Splatoon is grown game over game. I think ARMS is going to have more people playing it next time than this time. So, sure. Let me see. Do you think they'll turn out to be things Nintendo fans don't want to play again? Like the new IPs that released in the Switch era. But the new IPs that released in the Switch era have been bought in the millions. So you're already wrong. Like, you're already wrong. Hey, go look at the sales of 1-2 Switch. Go look at the sales of ARMS. Like, you're already wrong. You're just factually wrong. You don't want to play it. It's got nothing to do with the whole of the Switch audience. All right, next up, Crazy Derp says, why does there seem to be little to no hype for Yoshi's new game? There seems to be little to no advertising for the game and gameplay except for a demo and 2 trailers. Do you think Nintendo is hiding something like another Kirby Star Allies flop? I don't think they're hiding anything. They have had multiple people go hands-on. They did an IGN first thing. There's been a couple YouTubers out there they partnered with that are doing daily videos on Yoshi. They have also seen, at least I've seen advertising for it out at Walmart and GameStop. It is not Super Mario Odyssey. It is not Breath of the Wild. You're not going to see them invest, tens of millions of dollars in the marketing for it. You're going to see them do targeted smart marketing with certain YouTubers. The IGN First series. You're going to see them with the posters and the ads at Walmart and GameStop. You're not going to see them, put out tons and tons of commercials because it's not that kind of game. Yoshi is not that kind of series. So you're not going to see them do the crazy marketing that you might be thinking that other games get that sell tens of millions of copies. That being said, I don't think they're hiding anything. I think the game is really, really good. And the thing is, Kirby Star Allies is better than people. Like, Kirby Star Allies has gotten so much hate to the point that it's almost underrated. Like, Kirby Star Allies is not a bad video game. But the way people talk about it, they act like it's such a crap game. But it's not. You can argue it's short if you want, but it's not a bad game. So, yeah, I'm not really digging your take here. I guess I'm not digging a lot of people's takes today. But it is your opinion, so you can feel how you feel. But I don't. Kirby Star Allies didn't flop for starters. Factually, Kirby Star Allies sold extremely well, so it didn't flop. I don't think Yoshi's going to flop either. I don't think there really has been any flops on Switch yet from Nintendo. So, Dungeon Master Z390 says, what do you think of Mario Maker 2 getting a new Super Mario Brothers Wii as a sub-style of U? and have in the difference be the propeller suit become the acorn suit and the propeller and I mean, sure. Who knows? We haven't seen everything about the game. For all we know, it's already in there. Like, we don't know. We don't know everything about this game, so sure. Shadow King, 1982. He's got another long one here. He says, you've been a bit disappointed with Pokemon Sword and Shield. What if instead of doing the graphical leap that you said you wanted, by the way, I didn't talk about a graphical leap. All I mentioned is that there's some textures in the game that are really poor. I said nothing about graphical leaps, but sure. You said, okay. Anyways, let's get more into what you said. They've been working on a more dynamic animations, such as attacks being a single shot instead of what happens if the left is animated and what happens on the right. Instead of one continuous animation with no break in the action, along with better animations for the attacks themselves, such as Blastoise actually attacking with the cannons on his back, Bulbasaur's Vine Whip coming from the bulb like in the anime, and so on. So basically you're just talking about battles that have better animations. That should just be expected. That's not a change, though. All that is doing is taking what Pokemon already is and making it look prettier. And that's what they should be doing. The battles should be at that point right now. That doesn't make... I mean, it makes the game feel better. It makes the game feel better in combat. But that's not a fundamental change to the game. You're just making the combat look better. They should be doing that already. But that's not what I'm talking about. When I talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'm talking about taking the game up, flipping it on its head, and doing something that's never done before. Better animations, I guess, is something that's never done before, but that doesn't change how combat works. That doesn't change how you capture Pokemon. That doesn't change how you explore the world. That doesn't change the progression of the story. Like, it doesn't change anything. It's just enhancing what's already there. So yeah, I want that to happen, but that's not the same thing as what I was talking about with Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I think Pokemon Sword and Shield might be the best Pokemon game ever made, so you got to keep that in mind. Anytime I talk about, my criticisms and my hopes and dreams for it, that's with the context that I do think this has the potential to be the best Pokemon's ever been. I'm just ready for like a flip script type, a game that just turns Pokemon on its head, and I don't know that Game Freak will ever give us that kind of Pokemon game. Daniel Thompson says, do you think Sony will ever play nice with Nintendo or Microsoft? So if so, when do you expect this change, and what do you think it could bring to the table? I personally believe that if the companies would cooperate more, it will lead to an overall better and user experience, and I'm not implying to throw exclusives out the window. I think exclusives are okay under certain circumstances, but my main point is trying to make here is that I feel multiplayer games would last longer if cross-platform was a bigger deal, but you're not here for my opinion, I'm here for yours. Do I think they'll ever play nice? Cross-platform wise, yes. I think eventually Sony will give in to cross-platform. It'll probably be next generation when they fully give in, but I think Sony's going to get on board with cross-platform. I don't think they're going to play nice beyond that, though. I think they'll play nice with cross-platform because it's becoming heck, Google Stadia has cross-platform play, right? So, like, it's becoming a standard. So, Sony will conform to the standard, but I don't think they're going to play nice outside of that. Chubbs Barrios says, since the Nintendo Joy-Cons are already compatible with the Chrome game interface, well, they're not compatible yet, but they will be, at least according to Google Chrome's files. How likely is it that Stadia could have an app available on Switch? You're thinking it's not. I think it's, 50-50 shot. I think it depends on what's going on between Microsoft and Nintendo. I think Microsoft might be trying to convince Nintendo to let xCloud be on their system and then have that be the only streaming service on Switch. I don't know if Nintendo wants to lock into that since they might just want to open their platform to Stadia and other streaming services too. So I think it'll be interesting. I think there's a chance Stadia could be on Switch. I think I've talked about this in the news when we talked about the Joy-Cons having support in Chrome, that like this could be a Switch thing. So I think it's possible. Do I think it's likely? I don't know. I don't even know if it's likely that this Switch gets streaming. But I do think that xCloud and Stadia would love to both be on Nintendo Switch and have that 30 plus million, 40, 50, whatever it ends up being by the end of this year, audience to kind of draw on, especially since that audience doesn't have access to a lot of games that these services could offer, which is a big boon for Switch and could get them potentially a lot of customers versus having xCloud on Xbox where people can access those games in other ways, but they can't on Switch. So I think it would be very interesting to see that service come to Switch, whether it's Stadia or xCloud, but we'll have to wait and see. These services aren't out yet, so there's nothing really to talk about until they start talking about what platforms they're going to be on entirely. Seahawks 24 rule says, do you think Sony will have a state of play thing during E3 to replace the conference after last year's train wreck? No. And here's why. Sony's not at E3 at all. They don't have a booth. They're not doing a press conference. They're not at E3. Sony is skipping E3. So no. Like, when you talk about, a state of play thing during E3 to replace their conference after last year's train wreck, you're talking about them going Nintendo's route, right? Like a digital event, but Nintendo never left E3. Nintendo has never left E3. They replaced their press conference with a digital event, but they never left E3. And in replacing the conference with a digital event, they also expanded how they cover E3 and what they do at E3. They made their booth bigger. They made Treehouse be this big live stream event where there's actual news coming out all throughout E3. And Sony tried to do a little bit of that last year and failed at it. And I think Sony's out of E3. They're done. I'm not saying they won't come back to E3, especially if Nintendo and Microsoft get a huge boost from this E3. I think Sony will reevaluate things after they announce PlayStation 5 and probably come back to E3 next year. I don't think Sony leaving E3 is a permanent thing. I think EA not doing a press conference, that might be permanent. Sony might not do a press conference again either. I don't know. But I think they'll come back to E3. Like, you got to remember, they're done. There's no booth. The fact there's no booth tells you Sony's not going to be there. I mean, PlayStations will be there with third-party games, but Sony themselves are not going to be present. So I think it's going to be strange being there at that Nintendo booth this year, not seeing Sony across the aisle. But I honestly think this is going to be good. I think it's going to be really good for Nintendo and Microsoft. Sony, I think, is in a transition period. They know, like, they're going to do this thing and talk about some VR games and stuff, on Monday. But I think they are kind of in a transition period where they don't really have much to talk about until after PlayStation 5 is announced, and I don't think they're ready to announce PlayStation 5 at E3. I think they might be ready by the end of the year at the PlayStation Experience, or potentially they're not announcing anything this year, and we're not going to hear about PlayStation 5 till next year. That's a real possibility. I think Sony knows they don't really have anything right now. There are games we know about, but let's be honest, most of them are probably going to be on PlayStation 5. So I think that Sony is just in a transition right now, and they didn't want to spend all the money to go to E3 and get destroyed by Microsoft, who they know is going to announce their new Xbox and their streaming service, get destroyed by Nintendo, who has like just this amazing lineup. Sony's like, why are we going to bother to go and just play third fiddle to everybody else and have everyone talk about how disappointed they are in us again? Like, let's wait until we have something exciting and then come back to an event like that. So I think Sony will be back next year. But I think they're skipping this year strategically because I don't think it's worth the money to disappoint people when they don't have a lot to talk about. The last question is from Luke Leo, and he says, pie or cobbler? I always prefer pie. I can't have either right now, but I prefer pie. Pumpkin pie, apple pie, raspberry pie, strawberry pie. Can't forget, what is that? The French silk pie. Love that. Pie all the way, man. Cobbler can be good. Like a good apple cobbler is really good stuff, but I definitely prefer pie all the way. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Prime Answer. Sorry if there was some glitchiness in the video. Again, this is my old camera I used to do videos with, but it has issues. I think it's mostly worked for most of this recording. My new camera will be back up and running at some point tomorrow, so you won't have to put up with this camera for too much. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate all of your support at Nintendo Prime, both in just our amazing giveaway we're doing with the Nintendo Switch Super Smash Bros. Ultimate giveaway down in the link in the description. Like, you guys have entered that giveaway so many times. It's amazing. Continue to enter that. Continue to support the channel. Subscribe for more content. Drop a like on this video. Check us out at patreon.com/Nintendo Prime if you want to toss us a buck just to ensure we can keep doing what we're doing. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.